Hello and welcome to Co-ople Mode, Couples Opinion on Gaming. I'm Matt.
And I'm Rose.
And we're back in the studio. That's what I call it, this room where I have the computer in. How's it been going? How you been doing? Do you feel like a weight has been lifted now? You don't feel like you have to beat your head against the dungeons in Zelda?
It wasn't that bad. I mean, I did enjoy it a little, it just wasn't like my favorite.
Yeah.
And I think for first time going through, like I said, it's a slow burn.
Mm-hmm.
First time through, you're not going to love it. It's the second, third, fourth time.
Yeah.
You start enjoying it because you know what to expect in some areas.
I'd like to say that isn't true. But, I mean, I guess for me, I definitely grew to love it a lot more the more I played it. So I can't say that's not a true statement.
You put all this value on, I wish I could experience it for the first time. And I'm telling you, the first time isn't always the best playing games. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. Sometimes things grow on you, and I got to give credit where credit's due. All right, are you excited? You excited for a new game?
I am excited to try something new.
All right. Then I'm not going to make you guess this week. I always kind of pick on you. So I'm just going to
Earth Defense Force 5.
I'm excited to get to that one.
There, I guessed.
There's been a few, but actually you're going to be playing Brütal Legend.
Oh, that's kind of awesome.
It's funny. This was one of the first 10 games I wrote on my list.
Really?
Originally when I was thinking about games that I'm like, I want you to try, I want to see you try. And that's because, we love rock music. I mean, we like all kinds of music in this house, but we kind of grew up, teenager rock music was where it was at, right?
Yeah.
Heavy metal, all that good stuff. And we love Jack Black and Tenacious D and, Kyle Gass, all that good stuff. And so this game is I think story-wise, aesthetically, the characters is so up our alley.
Yes, it is.
And the
music's good.
Oh, it's so good.
Oh, the visuals are fantastic. I'm excited to try this. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, this is one of those games I put the time in and I beat it back in the day. I definitely did. If you only focus on the story and you just try to burn through all the main story missions, you'll beat it in the time you have. But knowing you're like me, you're going to want to explore this world. Mm-hmm. There's so many cool things to find and look at. So you probably aren't going to beat it, but that's okay. I think you're going to get enjoyment out of it.
Oh, I think so too.
So let's talk about this. This was originally released on Xbox 360 and PS3 in October 2009, and they did eventually release a PC version in 2013.
Oh.
I own the 360 version. I got it digitally at some point, so I have that. But I think I have it on Steam and even Epic Games. I have it a bunch of places now. It's a good game. And I always kind of come back, mess around with it a little bit, a couple times, but it's been a while since I've actually beaten it. It was published by Electronic Arts and developed by Double Fine. Now, Double Fine is known for games like the Psychonauts 1 and 2, Costume Quest 1 and 2, Iron Brigade, and they did some good remasters of some old Lucasfilms, LucasArts point-and-click games, like Full Throttle. You saw me and our boy playing it. It's you got this motorcycle, big tough guy, and you're going around solving all these puzzles. You probably only saw it in passing.
Barely ringing a bell.
Yeah, it's on Game Pass, and we were playing it on PC. He thought it looked so cool, and I get it, because I remember my stepdad showing me this game. Mm-hmm. He had it on disc, and I thought that was the coolest thing. I never grew up playing PC games, so something like that was just so far out of my normal play style, And you can't talk about Double Fine without talking about the owner and head, Tim Schafer, because I'll be bringing him up later on. He's kind of the figurehead in a way,
Okay.
And he used to work for Lucasfilms, and that's why he was able to remake. He worked on some of those games originally. Mm-hmm. And to come back to Brütal Legend, it's sitting between 80 and 83 on Metacritic, depending on the version. So a decent game. And a cool little extra fact, Brütal Legend has exactly 107 heavy metal tracks from over 75 different bands that they were able to get.
I know from the little bit that I've seen that it's got an amazing music track. I think I'm mostly pumped for that. And also like Jack Black's character. I know that's like his dream of what he looks like, but oh my God, I already think he's cute, but if he really looked like that,
I think the only ones they weren't able to get in was like Metallica and AC/DC, just because like their licensing cost for their songs was so high because they're just so big, right? And then there's one other band that they didn't do it because of the character's name might make it seem like this band is endorsing this game specifically. And when you have like an image, you want to be careful about what you're endorsing just in case, I guess. I know it sounds wild for like some heavy metal band to care about their image, but I don't know.
I don't know. If I was a musical artist and they wanted one of my tracks in this, I would be pumped for it. But, you know, you got to do your research and know like what it is going to be exactly. I can understand that, but I can't imagine. You're missing out, man. I mean, they even had Ozzy Osbourne in this game.
Oh,
for God's
I know.
sakes.
He voices one of the characters. It's so good. The characters are voiced just so well. It actually,
if Ozzy's doing it, it's probably fine. Come on.
So they actually, when they were designing the main character, whose name is Eddie Riggs, they designed him after a Motorhead, the bassist. I think his name's Lemmy at first, but then they kind of changed it a little bit and made it designed more after Jack Black. But when they were making this character design, they never expected to get Jack Black.
Really?
Like it didn't even cross their mind. But they had heard through the grapevine that Jack Black was a gamer and he really enjoyed Psychonauts, the first Psychonauts.
Oh, okay.
And so they were like, you know what, we'll reach out. And he loved the idea and he jumped on board.
That's funny because I always imagined in my head that this was like a brainchild of his because it's so him.
Yeah.
With the music and the aesthetic and everything and the character and the story, the little bit that I know.
Yeah, he records a fun little intro for it and all this stuff. And it was really... they really advertised it as like, oh, this is Jack Black's game. That was, you know, they pushed that. And, but that wasn't the intention originally. It was after the fact, they kind of designed it after him and they talked to him and he was into it. But because he jumped in on it, like Ozzy Osbourne got in on it, all these other heavy metal people started jumping in on this or were willing to because they heard he was working with. So it actually really helped them get all the songs, all this talent.
Nice.
And like there's a lot of like these famous like heavy metal singers and band players that voice characters in this game and stuff. It's really cool how it kind of like, hey, we designed it after you. Maybe you might be interested. You like Psychonauts? Yeah, I'm in. And then like all these people like, hey, if he's in, it sounds like fun, you know? And it's just so cool. So the creator, Tim Schafer, you know, he said he'd been a heavy metal music fan since high school. So he's been into this music for a long time. And he said roadies actually really fascinated him back in the day. You think about it, these guys just go out, they set up everything. Like there is kind
of a lot of
like
the heavy lifting, right?
Yeah, they're like
literally
they're the laborers of the music world. Like, you know what I mean? They're going out there and just like they make sure stuff works. So when the band comes out there, it's on point. And
there is no show without them.
Yeah, exactly. So when he's talking about making this game, he's like, the first thing that actually came to his mind about this game was the name. He wanted to make a fantasy that was a little opposite of the games he was working on at Lucasfilms at the time. And Brütal Legend leapt into his mind. He's like, what's a fantasy that's even more hardcore than regular fantasy? And that name stuck in his head way back then. And it kind of, until he finally was able to like start putting it together. So he had the name before anything else, which I think is just kind of like an interesting thought. Like, I have a good name. How do I build a game around this name? And it's kind of like a wild way to do it almost.
You got to start at one end or the other, I guess, and go your way.
Yeah. So a lot of this game's art is very inspired by all the like heavy metal albums, all that like crazy art that they would have. And it's so cool. Like scaffolding trees or like speakers are like built into the rock, and it's like roads. It's just, if you look at any old heavy metal album with that crazy art and those crazy worlds, like that's this game to a T.
Like the aesthetic of this game, to me, it just screams the album cover of like Meatloaf, Bat Out of Hell. Like this huge mountaintop, a motorcycle flying through the sky, and you've got a giant bat above the mountain, like screaming down at the motorcycle. Like, that's what this game is. Like the album cover to Meatloaf.
Brought to life.
Yes. in a video game.
Yeah. That's so cool. Like, I do like the aesthetic of this game is definitely one of my favorite things about it. Like it sticks out in my head. Like this is one of those games I just don't forget about, you know?
It's wildly different than anything else I've ever seen.
Which is honestly kind of Double Fine's mode of operation. They always make like a very different game from what they made before. You got Psychonauts, you got Brütal Legend, you got this game called Stacking, which is like in this world where everyone's like Russian dolls and you're a kid, you can jump into people and control them and different things happen. Iron Brigade, you control mechs and it's like a tower defense game. You set down towers, but you're also a tower that can move around and shoot things. And that game is so fun. Like
it sounds wild.
Oh, I love Iron Brigade. I should add that to the list because that's one of my favorites of all time too. It's so arcadey. Like I think that's what I like about it. They really just make these kind of unique games because they want to. And he's quoted saying like, hey, even if my games don't sell well, if I'm making interesting games, people are still going to want me to make interesting games for them. And it's kind of true. They haven't gone under. They keep making games and they're unique. And I appreciate that. Something different from the norm, you know? One of the interesting things about this is when they were pitching the game to publishers.
Sure.
They got a lot of feedback about, hey, could we do like a hip hop world or a country world?
No.
Yeah, I know. But he really credits
Brütal Legend.
I know, right? It probably would have been a different name, a completely different game. But because Harmonix had come out with the Guitar Hero games, like all of a sudden rock was having like this big resurgence, right? Everybody was liking it. They were buying Rock Band. Like it was cool. Because that happened, like people were like, yeah, you know what? Keep it with the rock. Like it's going to work, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting. And it's kind of cool that because Guitar Hero happened and was successful, he was able to make this game. And a lot of people are like, hey, are you going to include like a guitar controller as like a controller you can use when you play your
little guitar solos to do different things.
He said he thought about it, but they couldn't find a way to like really integrate it well. Which it would have been just a one-off, and I'm glad they didn't. But it was kind of cool that he actually was like, you know what, I'll take a look at it because it could be interesting, you know. And so I told you, like, they didn't plan for the celebrity cast. Jack Black kind of heard that, you know, they talked to him and he got in, and then they got all these people. Like Ozzy Osbourne's character is amazing in this game. Like him and Jack Black have some of the most funny lines in this movie. It kind of led to this, how do I put it? They both swear a lot.
Yeah.
A lot, right? So that wasn't in the original writing for them to swear that much. They just do that normally. So it kind of led to them adding in these filters in the game. So in the beginning of the game, when you're playing, it's like, hey, do you want to turn on gore or off gore? Do you want to turn on swearing or do you want to bleep out swearing? Because the game's mature because that's in it.
Yeah.
But they're like, you know what? our original goal was more for a younger audience to, teen introduced to this wild world. So we can have it so you can bleep out the swear words. You can take out the like dismemberment and gore and like you can enjoy it with a younger audience. And I thought that was really cool. So they actually added when they're like stuff you're not supposed to see, they put the parental advisory logo that would be on them old heavy metal rock CDs or like rap CDs. And they actually put it in the game, which I thought was just like a nice little touch.
Yeah.
But even with all the swearing, Jack Black was given the best voice in a video game award at the Spike Video Game Awards in 2009. And they got actually quite a bunch of other nominations and a couple other awards. It was actually very interesting to look at because everybody loved the world. They loved the characters. Like that actually really pulls you in. Mm-hmm. Because the only fault I have with this game, is it tries to do two things at once, two different games at once. And when games do that, sometimes they don't do either one as good as they could alone. But I also feel like this game wouldn't be as unique if you didn't include both these things. It's part action adventure open world, and it's part RTS. Like Northgard, right?
Really?
Yeah. So the main crux of the game is you going around, you get your car pretty early on. You're driving around, exploring, finding unlockables, right? That's, classic open world exploring.
Yeah.
But in the story and in the multiplayer, you get into what's called stage battles. It's like a battle of the bands. Mm-hmm. So you build this huge stage and you can go from standing on the ground to flying up overhead, and you can direct your troops to attack, certain points or defend certain points. So you actually are like kind of controlling your troops a little bit and then jumping down into the fray and like hacking and slashing and helping them out. And honestly, they really kept it simple. So it's not like, I got to think about so much in the stage battle. They kept it simple, but I think some people felt like because they kept it simple, they didn't make it as good as they could have. But in my personal opinion, I don't feel like anything this game does detracts from its enjoyment. I really hope they do get to make a second one. There's been talk, like they want to. They want to make another Brütal Legend. They've made a second Psychonauts, and I wasn't sure that was going to happen. So I really hope now. I think Microsoft owns Double Fine now, and I pray that they get a second one and they take another swing at it. Because when this game first came out, I think the only really good RTS on the console was, I think Battle for Middle-earth 2 was okay.
Okay.
And I can't remember if the first Halo Wars was out at that point. But that was kind of made for console, so that, worked out pretty well. So I just really hope they get a chance to get another swing at this. And knock it out of the park,
Like at this time, they would make that look even better. And that gets you excited just thinking about it.
Oh, I know. I mean, even looking at the game now, like you can tell, like, okay, it's 360 era. We've gone 2 generations since then, but it's still like that aesthetic is so clear and so enjoyable still. Like it still looks amazing, because of the style.
Yeah.
The characters are all fun, and honestly, just like all the enemies, all the unique like army units for each faction are really creative. It does, like, if you were going to be transported to a heavy metal world, this is exactly what it would be like, and that's what you feel like all the time. There's just fun little nods all the way. You unlock new songs for your car. Like, I really got a lot of enjoyment out of this game. Yeah. And I, like, looking back at it now, I can understand, like, okay, it's not as much as it could have been. But at the time, it was everything I wanted. And I think that's just looking back, there's things we do now that work out better. There is some radial menus, and I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
But I do think, I don't know, it's how they stickied it when you use it. I feel like it works a little better.
Okay. I will check.
Like,
I'll find out.
Like, compared to Nobody Saves the World, like, we've been playing that a lot. That radio menu seems really touchy between getting those diagonals, right?
Oh,
This
my
one,
goodness.
I don't feel like I ever misselected something I didn't want to.
I love Nobody Saves the World, but I have been sneaking that in, and it's funny. I get panicked and I try to change forms, and I end up being something not what I was expecting. I'm surrounded by enemies, and everything goes bad from there. But luckily there's only the one. Radio menus just kick my ass.
It's okay if you're out in the world and nothing crazy's happening. But that's, like I said, that was my only hang up with that game. And it because you couldn't choose where your forms go.
Yeah.
It's always
that is
ones.
A big point to it. If you can set it to your favorites and you get in the groove of knowing exactly where to go for what you want, it would make a big difference. And that's the other part that kind of kicks me in the butt sometimes is I expect like the ghost to be over here and all of a sudden he's not gone, and it's like accidentally turned into the magician or something. Yeah.
I'm excited for you to get to play this and kind of experience it.
Yeah, I think many years ago when you first got it, I played it just a little bit one time when I was hanging out with you.
Oh, okay.
That was before we were married.
Yeah. Just like a little bit.
A million years ago. Yeah. I mean, I just remember enjoying watching you and our friends play it a lot because I do that's a lot of music that I love. And
it's fun to watch even. Like, the cut, like I never really felt like skipping cutscenes. Was it always like super important? No, but the dialogue was well written and funny sometimes and goofy.
Oh, I'm
like
sure.
It's fun to find the stupid things that they say. Oh, I just have a lot of love for this game. I love Jack Black. I love all the nods to all the different metal bands, all the fun things you can find. Like I actually got a lot of enjoyment just driving around, exploring. Like I said, my only thing, and I can admit that now, is maybe because it was split into two types of games, each type isn't as good as it could have been. And there's no jump button. And I know that sounds like, okay, that's dumb.
You should have seen his face. He looked like so sad and disappointed.
You get used to it, but like when you jump, like I jump between quite a few different games, right? Like I experience a lot of different things. And like you come into this open world game, like I played like Breath of the Wild and it's Skyrim, whatever. I can jump. Can I jump high? No. Can I jump over everything? No. But I don't get stuck on something that doesn't that's the only thing. And it's such a minor inconvenience, such a small little thing.
He wants to skip around the rock world.
I can't do my like la 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 singing, hopping down the road if I can't jump.
Too cool to jump around.
Yeah, I know. Oh, God. But honestly, even with those little minor things to me personally, it's still a fun ride and I'm excited to see you experience it.
Yeah, I'm excited to try it.
There's part of me that wants to keep talking about it, but honestly, I don't know what to talk about more than I already. Yeah, exactly. I want to get your opinion.
Woo!
That's kind of the podcast, isn't it, folks?
Yep. The best part is the good tunes are built into this game.
Yeah, right. We were talking about that, and that's kind of what made me think like, okay, now it's time for Brütal Legend, because we've been talking about recently like, hey, the music we listen to isn't always the music in games. Sometimes it's a CD we were listening to. And I'm like, guess what? This game has the songs built in. You want to play Dragon Force Fire Through the Fire and the Flames while you're driving like in an intense sequence to try to save somebody? Yeah,
so
you're going to get pumped up.
Nothing pumps you up better than that.
That's one of the... there's very few songs that get me pumped up as quickly as Dragon Force Through the Fire and the Flames. On one hand, I can think of songs. What's your rating? How excited are you going into
10
this?
out of 10.
Yeah, I
You're
kind of
just
knew
talking about that. Just
I could have said Jack Black, heavy metal fantasy world. You get to drive a car that shoots flame out the sides. 10 out of 10. While listening to Motorhead. All right, well, what the hell are we doing sitting around here? Let's get out of here.
Let's get the heck out of here.
All right, we'll see you guys in just a bit. Bye-bye. Hello, welcome back. We've been busy rocking out, and we're ready to hear some opinions.
Oh man, this game.
It's a vibe.
You start it up and you get this awesome cutscene of Jack Black going into a record store, and he's got to show you a secret. He goes through all, and like the album he pulls out is Brütal Legend, and that's where you get your main menu to start the game or continue on. It's just kind of a fun little thing that they did, and it's a good precursor to how this game works. There's so many little details and love put into this game.
Oh, and yes,
I would say out of everything you've showed me, I feel like this is the most loved game I've ever seen.
That is an interesting
I get
thought.
that vibe from it.
I mean, there is a lot of love and respect for just heavy metal rock music.
Yeah.
You know, like definitely.
There was so much care in this game.
Mm-hmm.
So you get 3 modes you can try. Normal, gentle, and brutal. I went with normal.
Yeah.
I wasn't feeling brave.
It's usually a fair. I usually like to start in the mid-range, normal.
Get
I
a
feel
taste. See how the water's feeling. Dip your toes in.
9 times out of 10, like that's how you're supposed to experience the game. There's been a few games where it's like, no, you're supposed to play on hard, and it's like, why would you do this to me?
I can't remember what game it was, but there has been a game where like there is no normal. It's just like hard and like insane. And I looked at you and I'm like, why? No.
Why are you doing
Who made this game? This is not for people like me.
Oh.
The opening cutscene is amazing. You get this kind of, I mean, it feels like a movie by the end. Like you get so lost in it and invested in it about how this comes to be, how Jack Black's character, Eddie, gets to be put in this rock world.
Yeah, I also like that it introduces like, hey, do you want to have the profanity filter on? Do you want to have the gore filter on in that beginning cutscene? So like right away you can be like, hey, do I want to tone this down because there might be some younger people around just in case? Or do I want like the original full experience? And I think that's nice. Like right off the bat, you get to just like make that decision.
So I picked profanity on and gore on because I wanted to see what it was like.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like that was a mistake because I didn't want to play it when our son was around just in case.
Yeah.
But because you never, like, I don't know the game. I don't know what's going to pop up when. Really, the gore to me isn't that bad. It's an older game.
Yep.
The profanity sometimes is, I mean, I don't have the cleanest mouth. To me, it didn't shock me, but that's me.
Let's be honest, especially this era, Jack Black, it was like, Tenacious D.
Yeah.
He is not light on the F-bombs.
Neither am I. So it was like, I guess my family hears it enough. I'll turn it.
Yeah.
I'll temper it a little. I don't know. I guess to start off, like the beginning of this game, it's another great way of starting a game off where once you get into the actual gameplay, after all the cutscenes and starting stuff, you are playing while it's teaching you how to play. It's the best kind of tutorial. It's my favorite kind of tutorial. It's here we go. You're thrown in, but it's not overwhelming. You get to pick up your guitar. You get to pick up this axe. They teach you how to use it. They teach you how to do like combo attacks if you have a partner at your side. You get to drive a vehicle. And just the beginning, when you see the first part of this world, it's also so cool and so original, so different than anything else I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I have never played a game with this much personality in it before. Just the stylization of everything is so true to the rock aesthetic that, I mean, it couldn't have been any better in my opinion. You've got you've got the spiky bracelets, the spiky belts, you've got the leather, you've got, I mean, everything is like mechanical looking in the world, you know, you've got chains and you've got, it's
all engines and pipes and speakers.
Yeah, it's so cool.
I really say this, like going back and playing this game, you know, again, since I beat it years and years ago, even though maybe some of the gameplay elements haven't held up to today's standards, the vibe and the aesthetic and the world holds up so well. Like that makes it worthwhile no matter what. Just that, the vibe, the like all the cool things you see out in the distance.
I mean, this map in this world was a lot bigger than what I expected it to be, because games back then weren't particularly huge most of the time. It was pretty rare to have a really, really big open world.
That's an interesting thought. I mean, open world games were getting more popular.
It wasn't really there yet to me. Like, you know, when I think back on it, like the stuff that we were playing at the time.
Man, I need to like look up what games came out this year. I'm kind of curious now. I'll have to look it up afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. What I remember at this time is like, I'm going to sound like the biggest noob right now. What's Oblivion? Is that before Skyrim?
Yes.
Like you guys had Oblivion.
Yeah.
We were playing a lot of Soul Calibur.
Yep.
It was a lot of Halo at this time.
Yep. A lot more linear mission-based games.
That's kind of what I mean. Like, that's what I'm the most familiar with at this time when I think about this time period. So in that time period, having this game seems like kind of a big deal, kind of a big thing, having such an open world. And this open world is so made for just running around and screwing off in. And it is. It's nice. Like, the nice flow of this game is you do a thing, and then it's like, hey, it leads you to the next plot point. It leads you to the next thing that you got to do. But every time you go to do it, it asks you, are you going to do it? Do you want to do it now or later? And you can choose. Like, if you want to jump into your deuce and just drive off into the sunset and screw around and explore, the game gives you every opportunity to do that. There is no holding you back. There's no making you feel like you're in a hurry. And this is the difference for me. Like, this is open world feel. When you get to like, I remember one of my biggest complaints about Tomb Raider was I felt so pushed and rushed all the time.
Yeah.
There is no pushing in this game.
No.
There's no rushing in this game. So sometimes I honestly just hopped into my car and drove around because there's a lot to see and there's a lot to find. You have a lot of different statues and you have different relics. There's special lore statues that you can find and unlock. And then you get this cool little movie scene and that tells you the lore of Ormagoden and how this world came to be. And like you get invested in that story and you're like, this is cool. The art that they use is stylized really neatly. And you want to go find those. Like that was one of my favorite parts of this game was those lore statues. They were just really cool.
It was interesting, and it really built on where the world, how it came to the point when you arrived.
That extra level of lore in the game without being pushy about it, because you don't have to do it if you don't want to. I'm pretty sure you get extra points if you do. Yeah,
you get the currency in this game is called a fire tribute. It's essentially people lighters. Yeah, the gods are appeased by what you did.
Yes,
and but yeah, there's like you said, there's all these there's statues in the lower orbs and the music unlock statues.
Yes, the relics.
There's jumps where you jump through fireflies. Like all these things that you go and do gets you more tribute. So it's worth it. Honestly, worth it to go around and explore.
And just have fun. Like, honestly, it is fun to drive around in this world.
Yeah.
Your car is fun to drive around. You can buy upgrades from Ozzy Osbourne.
Essentially,
yes. I mean, it's amazing. So it does. It feels really fun and kind of like that part of the game is relaxing and enjoyable.
Yeah, it is my favorite part.
That kind of brought me back to like years ago when we used to play video games and you would just waste hours screwing around like this.
Yeah.
Like, I think now in our old age. You and I don't have the time necessarily.
Yeah, we do tend to enjoy
Or
a little more compact experiences.
Or we're picky about what we spend the time on like this. You know what I mean?
Yep.
We're not quite so freewheeling as we used to be.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta say, I put a lot of time into Skyrim back in the day, and like this game, I think the first Red Dead Redemption came out around this time, and I went through and beat that game. That was an amazing game. I love it.
I gotta say too, like the way that they flow through cutscenes in this game is just, the transitions in this game are fabulous.
Yeah.
You get a cutscene where there's dialogue and you're getting to the next like plot point, and at the end it do you want to start this mission? Yeah, I do. And it just kind of goes gray, makes it look like a photograph. As soon as you start moving, color comes back, you're ready to go. Like everything transitions so smoothly in this game. Area to area, you transition super smoothly. I'm kind of confused how they did it so well in this game, and I feel like a lot of other games don't do it nearly as well. I really loved the way that they did that.
Is it because it is much more clear about the difference between when it was a cutscene and when you regain control of your character?
Yeah, I mean, it does kind of, you know, that's a funny way to think about it, but it's true. It's clear cut in that the cutscene's done, start playing, but it's also so smooth that it doesn't feel abrasive in any way. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, it just was like seamless but still clear, if that makes any sense. I really liked it.
I guess I didn't really think about that much.
I love the way this game does that.
But also, I mean, part of the fact that I didn't think about it also means that
it was good.
It has to have been done at least to a certain degree of.
It was very good. That's why you didn't think about it. I noticed those little things.
Funny.
I also really appreciate the characters' facial expressions in this game.
Very good about those, aren't they?
It was impressive to think about when this game was made and how well done the scene was between characters.
Yeah.
And like, you know how they're feeling with just such small movements.
That was actually something I read about.
For a Xbox game.
Mm-hmm. They really, reviewers talked about it, you know, how good the facial animations were, that you could understand how they were feeling. Mm-hmm. Like, even without them talking and saying and inflecting, just the facial expressions alone lets you know how they're feeling, and it's very clear that way, which is nice. Mm-hmm. And that's funny that you picked up on that.
So that was a lot of things that I thought the game got really right. Mm-hmm. But let's talk about the gameplay itself.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, let's get into that. That's important.
I mean, when it starts out in the very beginning, it's pretty simple, pretty easy, pretty smooth. It's very intuitive, especially for that time area, like playing Halo and things like that. Really similar. As you get further and you start to get your headbangers, and then you do stage battles and things like that, like by this time you're getting new combos with your axe. You can upgrade your guitar strings and your axe to do more damage, which is really cool, and I like that. That's a lot of fun.
I like options.
That's really cool. But I will say, when you are actually fighting enemies, it feels super messy to me. It's really hard to keep your direction correct while you're trying to make a lot of these attacks and combo moves. Like, a lot of the time I try to do it, and for some reason I end up facing the wrong way. Like, that might just be a me problem. It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
But especially when you get a big group of headbangers in there, it gets really chaotic, really messy, really fast. And I think if I played it more, I would get better at it, but it's not as enjoyable as I think it could be.
Okay. And this is what I talked about in the first half, about you're mixing the RTS and the battle. And I did mention while you were playing this, the early stage battles, the characters are the same. It's headbangers versus headbangers. It's you're versing hair metal versus heavy metal, right? And it gets really hard to parse between your creatures and their creatures. Yeah,
like literally brown-haired guys versus blonde-haired guys.
Yeah.
Like, it's almost indistinguishable, especially when you have like 10 of them on top of each other.
Yeah.
and then you're trying to get in there and attack too, and you're getting... Okay, this is another thing. I have had...
Go off.
I have had this problem with games like this my whole life. They're like, press B for a block attack. I don't care. I don't care how many times I press B. I don't care if my timing's right. I don't care if I stand there in the middle of the field and hold B down the whole time. I still get hit. It doesn't fucking work. Okay? Nobody can tell me it does. And what I hate even more is that you will take that controller and make it work for you, but it doesn't work for me. That block is bullshit, in my opinion, in this game.
It's tough.
It's never worked for me once.
I forget about it a lot in
Yeah,
this
I do
game.
too. I forget about block in every game because I'm not good at defense. I have a tendency to play all offense no matter what game it is and how much it hurts me to play that way. That's just me. I love coming barging in.
Overpower them.
Yeah.
I think sometimes, especially when you're fighting like the big bouncer guys, you're attacking them and you see a little blood splatter, but they don't seem to really react to your attacking, and they just keep going through their attack animation.
Yeah.
So there isn't, even though you're hitting enemies and attacking them, it doesn't feel like you're having that much of an effect until they die. Mm-hmm. It's much more like very old school hack and slash where it's just, you got a health meter. When the health meter's gone, you die. Newer games is a lot more intuitive about how you can stagger them or push them back, or this game doesn't really have that.
Yeah, there's not a lot of strategy in there.
Other than Earthshaker, you knock them back, but that's like you feel like with your axe you should like at least stun them a little bit or slow down their attack. But I think that's just how do I put it? It's the time it came out. It wasn't as a big a deal back then, Now it's like, okay, we got to step up our game, She's thinking, folks.
There's a word for it.
A word for what exactly? The March of Progress?
The gameplay now is more realistic to combat.
Yeah, I mean, yes.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's partly the what I talked about in other games. Sometimes just having you feel like the characters have weight to them. In this game, there isn't so much weight or mass to your characters. I guess it is a
realism thing.
Yeah, right? So in other games, when you like run into something, you bump someone, you push them, that
there's
realism.
An effect.
Yeah. But in this one, you just run up to them and you can be like, I'm going to attack
Physics,
you. Yeah.
Physics helps.
I think part of that is they were mixing two games together. So like I said, each one didn't get as far as it could have. But it's still enjoyable to experience and see what they added and did.
Not to say that it's terrible or unplayable. It's still kind of fun. I just find it a little messy and a little hectic. And then when I was trying to do these stage battles, and like I said too, I put a lot of that on my own gameplay. But when I'm trying to do this, you're like, it's just like Northgard. You got this. It's just, and I'm sorry,
an RTS.
It's not like that at all. You are making me so mad. It's not like you're good at planning out and control your armies. I'm like, no, brah, no, because you only have so many guys. Like, that's not how this works. And they're all dead right now. I gotta call more, but I gotta rebuild my merch stand to call more. You're funny.
I guess I was trying to say you can multitask, but I think
multitask.
I think you need to know, like, experience what you can do first. I think going forward, it would become easier for sure. I think that first time can be a little like, wait, what?
I can multitask if you give me a top-down view of the map. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll multitask the shit out of that. But when I'm just stuck running around as Eddie trying to like watch 7 things at once, that's a lot harder.
They do things to help you not get quite to that point, but closer to that point later on.
You get to fly around in a drone or what?
No, you grow wings.
Oh, sick!
Yeah.
Dang. Shit.
Yep.
That sounds awesome.
Yep.
Dang, this game is so cool.
I know, it's so sick.
I think another hard part about that is like you have your axe attacks, you have your guitar attacks, but then I also found a relic where I learned the Face Melter song, where you can pull that out. But when you're in the middle of a crazy battle like this, to like go to the radial menu, select Face Melter, play the song, which takes a couple, like you're getting murdered while you're doing all this. It's like, this is a really strong, powerful, helpful move, but you don't have time to do it. You're going to die doing it. Like, I did it once and you saw me and it really helped my situation.
Yeah, I was like, good job.
Like, that's how you get them. I'm like, yeah, but now I have no guys left and there's a ton more people coming. It was chaos. So I think that part of it gets a little lost too. You have too many different areas to attack with that it's hard to bring them all together and use them cohesively together. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it really, like, you can end up doing simple things, but you can't get into anything very complex. And
maybe it's more about using the people around you and the people on your side and in your party. Maybe I was playing it incorrectly.
Yeah, it's really hard to say. I mean, I guess it's like any game. It's a learning process, especially when you're learning how to do new things.
Sure.
You kind of get the vibe for how you want to approach it, right?
Mm-hmm. Speaking of the stage battles, you get these like fan pyres or fountains and you build merch booths on top of them, and that's how you recruit your different pieces of your army. But I love it when he's explaining that you got to have merch at a concert. And Jack Black says, merch is like a wedding ring. It's material, yes, but it's a symbol of devotion. And it totally is exactly how I feel. Because you know, you and I are always like checking it out whenever we go to a concert or a show.
Especially when it's
a
someone
symbol of my devotion.
Yeah, we love it.
I do.
There's just something special about just getting one thing for every time you
even if it's a little thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's some pretty cool enemies that I fought in this game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you need to go get some bass strings. My cat is rubbing against my mic and knocking it out of my face.
You are making it very difficult, Kitty. Oh, funny.
You gotta go kill a metal spider to get some like bass strings to save somebody. Well, even freeing the headbangers, you have to go into like this mine. They're all just banging their heads against rocks and everything, and go defeat the boss.
They got these huge neck muscles because that's how they're digging in the mines, is headbanging.
They kill bears with those traps.
It was the boars that when you they're like these little motorcycle boars.
Oh yeah, that was the other cool one.
Yep.
Wild boars mixed with motorcycles, and you got to herd them to the girls, and then they skin them out and use them as guns. Like, it sounds really crazy when you say it out loud in a sentence.
They like rip out their metal skeleton to clean out and turn into huge cannons.
Like, you know what it made me think of? When my dad showed me how to dress a grouse in the field. Like, you just grab their legs and hold their wings and just kind of pull, and that's exactly what they did with these wild boars.
Yeah,
so
pretty
to
much.
me, I'm like, this is kind of realistic in a way.
Very metal.
It was. There's a lot of metal things. Like, obviously, you get a great soundtrack to this game.
Oh,
you get the radio in your car, so when you are driving around to explore, you can enjoy so many different songs. Even the music that's playing during the cutscenes and stuff is really cool. You have neat enemies that are just really creative, different. The world is super creative and different. It's a totally different vibe from anything else I've ever played. And I think for that, like, that's one of the biggest accomplishments of this game. It's not piggybacking off of anything else.
No.
It's totally itself. And like I said, you can tell that there is so much love and care put into so many little details. You're driving around and you see like giant pistons in the beach that look like huge structures, and then you see different like demons and gargoyles around. It's amazing. It's amazing how much work and time they put into creating such a cool world for you to screw around in. Yeah,
it just gets more fun as you go. You get to go to new environments. You go to like this.
I did see some cutoff points that I can't go into yet, and it made me curious what those look like.
One I can think of the top of my head is you're driving through these like snowy mountains, and that's like there's the dry ice mines, and you're using that for your stage, you know. It's like just all this stuff that is just regular stuff you use in a rock show, and you find like it growing out in the wild, or it's a natural resource of this world, and it's just
I mean, there's even like
So
little
cool.
animals that they've created roaming the world, different creatures, you know?
Yep.
I mean, one of them kind of looks like a hedgehog or a porcupine or something mixed together like
Yeah,
that.
like Wolverine claw porcupine.
Yeah. There's like a big cyborg bear dog thing that like wants to kill you.
Yep.
That thing will chase you for quite a while too,
Yeah,
I found out.
He's a big boy. Yeah,
And then you get the antagonist in the story, Lion White.
that's the first
That character
antagonist. Yep.
itself, when I saw him, I was loving it. It is over the top, but at the same time, you can totally see it as a reference to David Bowie. Like, it's very David Bowie.
Oh, yeah, very much.
And I really love and appreciate that. Like, a lot of these characters, you can see what they're referencing.
My favorite part about Lion White is the first time you actually see him. It's like right before he brings his army to come fight you, right? You've only heard about him up to this point.
Right.
First you see like, okay, he's super hair metal, David Bowie, right? Tons of this blonde flowing hair poofed up like hairspray. And then he's like, okay, well, I'm going to go get ready to fight you. He turns around and his hair flaps like wings and he flies off. And I just remember laughing so hard the first time I saw it. It's like the most ridiculous thing ever, but it was so perfect. Like,
Yeah.
I can't imagine a better way that he would end that conversation.
I just appreciate putting a lot of different influences in, because obviously, like, David Bowie's not considered metal, but definitely a staple in the world of rock, right?
Oh, yeah, hair metal was a whole thing, you know?
No, it's not metal.
Okay, hold on now. I get that David Bowie
Yeah,
is not
that's
metal.
the point that I was making,
But
though.
even though he does have a David Bowie look to him, he is very inspired by hair metal, like Poison.
Yes.
So I also got to interject right now. Me and Rose had to Google David Bowie and hair metal and Poison to kind of like, we really came to the conclusion that Lion White is really just a mix of David Bowie and hair metal.
Well, you were really standing by the hair metal, and I was really standing by like, no, this dude is so inspired by David Bowie. The makeup, the clothes, and the hair a little bit. And you're like, no, he's got the big poofy hair, and he's part of the hair metal. So you saw some pictures of Poison and Motley Crue, and I was like, yeah, I mean, I get that vibe, but look at this. And I'm like, look at David Bowie. And you're like, okay, we're both right.
Yeah, we're both right. That's all that matters.
He is a grand mixture of rock. That's what matters.
He's their baby.
Yeah. Oh man, that would be a wild child.
Oh my gosh.
The son of David Bowie and Motley Crue.
Oh God, Motley, just the son of Motley Crue on its own. You hear some stories. Oh, that was a no. Don't get distracted.
Yeah, we're focused. We got this.
Let's focus back on the game. And got anything else you want to tell me about the game?
I mean, I think I've covered all the main things that I really wanted to cover so far. I don't even think I'm halfway in this game. It's a lot bigger than I expected it to be. That disappointed
No,
head
you're
shape.
definitely not halfway. But
I
to
felt
be
like
fair,
I put a lot of time in.
you did put a lot of time in, and this is the kind of the curse of the open world game.
Yes.
You did spend a lot of time running around and exploring and finding all these cool things. But story-wise, you didn't get that far, and that's kind of the way it's kind of the way the games work. I didn't expect you to get even halfway.
I thought about just trying to go hard on the story just to get as far as I could, but at the same time, I kind of realized I'm not really experiencing everything that the game has to offer then if I do that.
I think,
And
it's
I'm
better.
kind of glad that I did just look around and explore and do things. I found those lightning bugs and things like that. I mean, it's... especially with as much time and care as people put into building this, I'm glad I got to experience it and enjoy it just for their sake.
I really feel like you should play a game how you enjoy it and how you feel it should be played. If there's a reason like I really would push you to play a main story, I will tell you that. But in this case, what I really wanted you to experience was the world more so than the story. The story is kind of fun. It's good and I enjoyed it, but it was the world is the selling point of this game.
I think that's the best part of this game.
Yeah, for sure. Anything else?
You gonna ask me what I rate it?
Oh yeah,
I was waiting for that. You're side-eyeing me, and I'm like,
well, there's always like, okay, I just got to make sure you don't have anything else you got to say before I ask.
I'll interrupt you. I'll say it.
Okay, well, let's do it. What's your rating?
I went back and forth on this a little bit.
Okay.
Started out loving it. It kind of went down for a little bit, and then it went back up a little bit.
Yep.
I think I got to give it a solid like 7.5. It's not the best game ever. The gameplay isn't the greatest thing, but everything that it has to offer as far as scenery, the world, the story, it's the characters and the character development throughout this game.
Absolutely.
Which I always love that, because to me, that's what makes a book good, a movie good, a game good. I want to see people have problems and work through them, and it's got a lot there to have fun with, but also get serious with all at the same time. And there's so many different things to do. I don't think you can get bored with it really easily.
Yeah.
And I think you could put a ton of time in it. I don't know if it's a game that you're going to play back to back over and over, but I think like you said on the first half, every few years you're going to get the itch and you're going to want to do it again.
Yeah, absolutely. I do like to come back just to enjoy the vibe of the game,
the
you know,
silliness, the cool.
I've only beaten it once, but I've started new games probably 5 times or so, and it is really fun. It makes me excited because I really hope they do get to make a sequel now that they have Microsoft money behind them, Double Fine, because they recently made Psychonauts 2.
Yeah.
And that was really, really well done. So I hope that they get a green light to make a Brütal Legend 2, and they can just tweak it up, make it a little bit better.
I think if they got the chance to remake this now, it would be a fucking fantastic game.
Oh man, you know what? The remake, I was thinking about a sequel, but even a remake of this could be really, really good. I don't know. I'd probably be happy.
Remakes. Whatever. I don't want to make everybody angry at me, but remakes are like, well, whatever.
It's hit or miss.
I don't think it matters too much.
Let's be
honest. If you love
I just want more Brütal Legend. That's all I'm going to say. I want more Brütal Legend.
If you love a game, you don't care that the graphics are bad or whatever. You're going to play the hell out of it. I mean, let's get a Brütal Legend 2. Okay.
Yeah.
I think
that's what I would be excited for.
I would love that. I would be pumped about it too, actually.
Please, if anybody's out there in the world listening that can do anything about it,
manifest it into the universe, Matt.
Please, Double Fine. I'm putting it on my spirit board. I'm making it a reality. Please.
You don't actually have one of those
in my brain.
I thought about it. Make it happen.
Oh, and so well, did you actually end up giving us your 7.5? Oh
yeah,
my God.
7 point.
Okay. I think it's time to end the podcast. Any last words you want to say before we get into our end credits here?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh my gosh. You have another joke, don't you? All right. Give it to me. I'm ready. Hold on. Wait. I am ready. I'm ready.
Why does Donkey Kong wear a tie?
Why?
You don't have a guess?
Nope, tell me.
He's got monkey business to do.
Oh
later.
my God. Oh my God.
It's so bad.
Why did that make me laugh?
Because you're a dad and it's a dad joke.
It is a dad joke. Oh my God. It's so dumb.
It's hard for me to say the words because they're so stupid.
Monkey business. God damn it. Oh, thank you to Brother Ray for our caricatures.
We love them.
Oh, appreciate them.
Thank you to all our listeners that are listening. We appreciate you guys so much. We hope that you guys are enjoying it. If you are, please subscribe or follow or leave a comment or a rating. We appreciate all of that.
Yep. You can find us on Spotify. You can find us on Apple Podcasts. And we have a YouTube channel. So if you are wary about leaving a comment on our question on Spotify or leaving a review on Apple, I mean, it's pretty easy to comment on YouTube. Just throw a comment. We'll give you a shout out, and Any suggestions you might think? Maybe there's a game you think Rose would really like to play.
Yeah,
or you just want to see her play it. One of the two.
Matt has taken suggestions from people before, and he's made that the next episode. So you can really F up my life, guys. Come on, think about it.
Think about how much control you have over the video games my wife can play.
I could be crying on my couch because of you. Thank you for the music. A theme song.
Thank you very, very much. It always gets me pumped up.
Ready to game?
I have it on my button so I can listen to it and get ready every time we record, get in the mindset.
This was a fun game. Thank you.
I'm really glad you enjoyed
Nice
it.
choice.
And it's funny. When we get to the end of one, I get a little sad that we're moving on to the next game, but I also get a little excited to see what you're going to think of the next one.
I think you've ruined me because by 2 weeks, I'm like, I'm done with this. What's next? Just a total American.
Am I training you?
Yeah.
I'm Pavloving you on video games.
I'm bored now. You're giving me ADHD. You're trying to train me.
Yeah. Welcome to my world. All right.
Except for a few.
Yeah, right.
I could have stayed on Nobody Saves the World a lot longer and a few others, but I could have stayed on Slime Rancher a lot longer
I love
too.
Slime Rancher. Well, I think that's it.
All right.
I'm Matt.
I'm Rose.
And this has been Co-ople Mode. You keep gaming with your bestie. Ta-ta!